What's up, guys? What of course you'll be seeing today is a breakdown and review of the exotic scout rifle in Destiny called the Jade Rabbit. It's currently a PlayStation exclusive. You can get this weapon to drop a multitude of ways, including Nightfall rewards, legendary and exotic engrams, or as a King's Fall raid reward. I happen to have gotten mine through an exotic engram. Statistically, its fire rate is 27%, it has an impact rating of 61, a range of 94, a stability rating of only 24, a reload percentage of 65, and a starting magazine size of 7. Of notes, for some more stats, it has an aim assist rating of 75, which is very high, and equip speed of 40%. So before we get to the perks, which of course make the weapon, I'm going to point out some stats, because the Jade Rabbit has quite a few that really stand out. It's of the very high damage per shot but lower fire rate scout rifle archetype, which means that missed shots are extremely unforgiving, but made headshots are ruthlessly painful for the opponent. It has a staggering 94% range and an extremely high aim assist of 75, so those are the two biggest stats it has going for it, and the reload speed of 65 is quite decent and manageable as well. The lows, of course, are that the magazine size of 7 is extremely low, and the equip speed of 40% and the extremely low stability of 24 are big cons to using this weapon. So statistically, before the perks, it's definitely a gun of highs and lows. In terms of PvP damage output, it hits for 49 on body shots and 73 on headshots. In a second, I'll talk about a perk called Fate of All Fools, which allows you to chain body damage to increase your next headshot, and I've noticed that it goes up about 6 damage per shot in PvP. With regard to the skill tree, all Jade Rabbits are the same because they're exotics. They all deal kinetic damage, and like I said earlier, there's an always active perk on called Fate of All Fools, which after chaining body shots your next precision shot will have bonus damage as well as reload the magazine. This becomes especially useful in PvE encounters because it doesn't need to actually have a kill for you to reload the magazine as well as output the extra damage. But in PvP, it's not as useful because most firefights are over by the time you actually reach that point. Either you're dead or he's dead, one of the two. You have 3 clear options in terms of sights. Soft ballistics, which decreases recoil but also applies a penalty to impact. CQB ballistics, which dramatically reduces recoil but impacts range negatively. And lastly, smart drift control, which produces predictable and controllable recoil at the expense of some range. My choice is Smart Drift Control because predictable recoil can make up for deficiencies in other factors, and it pairs well with the weapon's base low stability, so that's a good synergy there. When breaking down the skill tree further, the first perk is called Spray and Play, which increases the reload speed of the magazine when the weapon is empty, and again, great synergy because of the small 7-round magazine and only half decent reload speed. The next 3 perks which you'll have a choice over are Extended Magazine, which increases the mag size from 7 to 11, Speed Reload, which does as it suggests, and Custom Optics, which offers more zoom and sort of highlights people when you use that scope in the Crucible. I always tend to choose Extended Magazine, but if you're confident in the Fate of All Fools proccing, or if you just want a faster reload and dealing with a smaller magazine size, you could choose Speed Reload. The last perk of note is called Zen Moment, which increases the weapon's stability by causing damage. So if you look at the overall skill tree analysis, the perks are very specifically designed to make up for deficiencies in reload speed and stability because they're both somewhat on the low side, especially stability, but you have to be skilled and an effective shot to make use of these perks. They're not just granted to you. With regard to my overall impressions, in PvE, this thing is basically a sniper at medium to longer range, and that's the max area that you should make use of it. In closer and closer medium range, you're going to lose firefights, especially against mobs, because you'll end up getting mobbed, or yeah, it's not a good area to be using in close quarters, so choose lengthy engagements. The thing really outputs damage if you land critical shots or headshots, but if you make use of the Fate of All Fools perk, where you reload the magazine after chaining body shots and gaining a kill with a precision shot, your mag reload and damage output becomes extremely high. I'm not a huge fan of the perk itself, and the subsequent small magazine size, because I've always been the kind of guy that always aims for precision shots at all times. So to make use of this perk, I'd either have to force myself to aim for body shots, which isn't my style, or the perk procs by accident because I've missed some shots from earlier. So if it procs accidentally, no complaints obviously, but it's not something I'm going to actively search out. You can make use of this weapon in nearly any PvE encounters as long as you're in medium to longer range encounters. In PvP, it's basically the same advice. It's a medium to long range weapon, and anything short of that gets you in serious trouble. It's a 3-shot headshot, but even if you proc Fate of All Fools and stack the damage, stack up that extra 6 damage, you still cannot get a 2-shot headshot with this weapon. Fate of All Fools is mostly useless here in terms of magazine reload, so make use of extended magazine. But missed headshots that also hit the body, followed by a headshot, give this weapon good damage output, but because it's the Crucible, of course, most encounters don't really last that long to make great use of this perk, so it's not the most useful in the Crucible. It's an absolute monster in medium to longer range, especially because of the high aim assists. And for these ranges, it's one of the best in the game. If you start going at extremely longer ranges, though, you become sniper bait. So just monitor that medium to longer range encounters, and you should crush. So overall, if you want a longer range weapon that hits extremely hard and can be very forgiving if you miss a headshot or two, but you still hit body shots, use the Jade Rabbit. Just be aware that if you miss your target completely, you're in serious trouble, and if you start engaging in closer range, you're probably going to be in serious trouble as well. Have a good one.